Hello, all. Welcome to a new episode of Silly Point. Apologies to our fans. We've been on a bit of a break, but here we are again to review the India versus England Test series. What a series we've had. A bit of a farcical end to it, but we'll rate each of the players and we'll talk a little bit about the end as well. As always, I've got Zahid here with me. So Zahid, what were your initial thoughts on the series and the way it ended?
In terms of cricket, it was an amazing series. I think actually for me personally, in terms of this quality of cricket, I think right up there with the 2005 Ashes.
Yeah,
Close games. Well, close games in terms of either draw or India to win. So both of India's wins went to the last day. I think the last session in both
yeah, yeah,
occasions.
yeah,
The first test, which got called off, was set up for a grand finish. As we saw, people might think were well positioned, but we've seen how difficult last day chases are, and so
yeah,
that would have been an interesting one if Wade hadn't spoiled it. Obviously, England had a relatively one-sided win, but you were allowed one off day. But again, amazing performance by India. Obviously, I predicted England to win 3-1. You predicted England to win as well.
yeah,
That didn't happen. But I mean, India played out of their skins. I mean,
yeah,
credit to the openers. I think that's one of the biggest wins for them
yeah.
this season.
Agreed.
Season.
Yeah,
Disappointing end,
yeah,
but overall, very well played England. Very well played India.
yeah,
England did well in patches. Joe Root, phenomenal throughout the series, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, the things that England were expected to do better, I guess, is where they suffered. The fast bowling Anderson was very good, but their support, Ollie Robinson was good, but I think everybody else was
yeah,
okayish.
yeah,
Whereas India, I think, was a much more well-rounded performance.
yeah. I think fair to say that India had a team performance,
Yeah,
whereas England were reliant on two players, Joe Root and James Anderson.
yeah,
So if they had good test matches, then England tended to win. And when they struggled or when they didn't score enough runs, then
true.
England lost. For India overall, it was each of the bowlers that came in, each of the
Yeah,
batsmen that came in, they all at some point or the other they all performed, except
yeah,
for maybe Rahane. But even Rahane at Lords, you know, he
yeah,
scored a good tough 50 if you like.
yeah,
So I feel like everyone contributed, and I think that's where the difference was, and that's why the series. Well, we don't know whether it's ended 2-1 or 2-2,
yeah,
or what's going to happen in the future. But just it's a shame that it ended the way it did. It would have been a
yeah,
brilliant end with the Manchester Test happening. Um, but yeah, I'm hearing so many things about what happened leading up to that test and what was going on, and it's just a shame for the fans, for Lancashire, who are probably
yeah,
going to have big hole in their profits and balance
yeah,
sheet this year. So a lot to discuss between the BCCI and the ECB. A lot needs to happen, and I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the next few months, if you like.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that I don't want to pass judgment on who's right, who's wrong, what happened. It's just a very sad situation that happened.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's just no point, pointing fingers, and
Yeah.
telling people who is wrong, this and that. Things
Although,
will sort themselves. Although, yeah, I mean, the ECB's first statement was saying India forfeited, and then they retracted that
yeah,
statement.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
there's so many things I've heard that there are things like Virat Kohli suggested to the ECB that they postpone the test by a day or two, but the ECB apparently refused. I don't know
mm,
under what context, but again, all of these are unconfirmed reports of the things that happened. There were reports that the Indian team, even though they were asked by the BCCI to be in their separate rooms, there were a couple of Zoom meetings that they had where the players had gone into one player's room and they were all together,
yeah,
which again defeats the purpose of you know um,
yeah,
isolating. And then
exactly.
again, mixed messages potentially from the BCCI as well. Again, none of this is confirmed. I don't
Yeah,
know. We've heard different sources, Quick Info, other sources in the Indian media. So it's not confirmed. We generally don't know what happened.
yeah,
It's just fair to say that it's a shame. So we won't go into the detail of, like we said, who's wrong, who's right, whether we think it was the right thing, wrong thing. It's immaterial.
Yeah, I guess that we can just move on now to player ratings. There's no, we're not gonna end up with a conclusion.
Yes, true.
Obviously the IPL conspiracy theories and all of that as well. But
But yeah, let's get down to the business end, the maths end of
right,
things, and rate the players. So should we start with currently the winning team,
yeah.
winning team of the
Let's start
series,
with
India?
India.
I,
Rohit.
I think, like you said, the openers for India were absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
This has been our problem every time we've come to England. The openers have been horrible since 2011.
yeah,
Every time I can remember, we've been like 40 for one, 40 for two, not even 40, like 20 for one, 20 for two. The likes of Gautam Gambhir, Virendra Sehwag, Shikhar Dhawan, Murli Vijay, even who's been
yeah,
phenomenal in Australia, for example. All of them have struggled at various points, but this series, the openers were an absolute
yeah,
revelation. I mean, like I said at the beginning, KL Rahul should play. I
yeah,
was not expecting him to play as an opener. I was expecting him to
yeah,
bat in the middle order, but he clearly has turned his game around significantly. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'd like to go with potentially an eight,
I'd give
seven, eight.
eight. No, I'd give eight to Rahul and nine to Sharma.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think
Yeah,
that
I'm
hundred
happy
at
with
the
that.
end. Well, although Rahul also got a big hundred,
Yeah,
but I think Sharma got lots of fifties, and then we were like, wait, he needs to get that hundred, and he finally got that
yeah,
in well, what's now the so-called last
yeah,
test,
yeah.
which really
It,
and under difficult circumstances, right, when
yeah.
India were behind in the game.
Fair enough. It's
He,
fair to say that both of them had one match-winning innings, right?
yeah,
Rohit Sharma at the Oval and KL Rahul at Lords. So yeah, I'm happy with 9 and 8.
yeah,
And mind you, KL Rahul faced 735 balls as well. Um, if I tell you balls faced for England, we'll come to that when we talk about the batting. You'd really be surprised at
yeah,
the big gap between the
yeah,
number of balls Joe Root faced and the rest of the team faced. So,
yeah,
anyways, but yeah, he faced a lot of deliveries as well. Even though he didn't score a lot of
yeah,
runs apart from his Lord's 100. Yeah, so yeah.
yeah.
Pujara,
Probably a six because he had two fifties. I think
yeah,
one he had a 90 and then a
yeah,
50 towards the end. Otherwise, I think he was very probably three or four in the first couple of tests, and then he
yeah.
pulled his way back. So overall, I think I average it out to six.
6. I mean, Pujara was being Pujara. I just feel like he probably got a few good deliveries, to get out. And you expect that as a number three, as an opener number three, you are going to get good deliveries because you're facing the new ball, especially in England. So I just feel like it was a middling performance because he got these bad balls. Apart from that, I know I called for him to be dropped just to
Yeah,
give him a bit of a rest. But maybe he's not one of those players that needs that. He just needs to keep playing
yeah,
and playing, and he gets better. So I think 6 is fair.
and I think six for Kohli as well.
I was going to say 5. He's had
Expectations.
well, yeah, expectations. He's had kind of a middling series, right? You go
Yeah,
back to 2014, you'd probably give him a 0. You go to 2018, you'd probably give him a 9,
yeah.
whatever. So in between a 5.
Maybe
Uh,
a plus one for captaincy.
yeah, to be fair, yeah, fair enough. Lords, especially, the declaration was spot
Yeah,
on. There was a lot of chat
despite all
about
the
whether it was
yeah,
too late, too early, or whatnot, but he got it right. So let's say 6 for him as well.
yeah, and Ryan as well. I'd probably give him a five.
5? He's averaging 15, 16 in the series.
He got a 50 at Lords,
He
right? And
got a
did
50
he?
at
And he got a
Lords.
40. Did he get a 40 somewhere else? Was that the only innings?
Yeah, I mean, whatever that those, apart from
Yeah.
the Lords 50, nothing else really mattered.
All right. Well,
So
three.
yeah, I'd probably go with a 3. Again, very, very disappointing, and his tendency to, poke outside the off stump, especially in a
Yeah.
place like England, that's absolutely lethal. You
Yeah.
can't you can't be doing that in England. Even though he would normally come into play kind of the oldish ball, 50, 60 overs old, but in England the ball's still swinging then. So
Yeah.
I would say 3, just
Um,
poor technique.
yeah. And then what's his Rishabh Pant?
Enigma again, as
Yeah.
as we'd expect, trying to hit the ball out of the ground when the ball is swinging big. I guess that, if we're saying that Pujara should be allowed to play his natural game, i.e.
Yeah.
face as many balls as possible, Pant should be allowed to play his aggressive game.
True.
It didn't come off. That's a different thing. But
Yeah.
at least he stayed true to it. So I don't mind that personally.
Yeah. I guess for approach, you'd give him 6, 7, but then for results 2, 3. So that again for me averages out to 4 or 5 at best. I mean,
I'd go with
he
the 4.
kept, he kept okay. I don't remember any like
Yeah.
blatant
He,
howlers
he
from him.
kept well. He kept really well. I mean, we've now got to a point where we're not talking, or people are not talking about Rishabh Pant's keeping being an issue.
Yeah,
So
and
that's a huge
it was tough to
improvement.
keep in a few games because the ball swings really late at times, and you've seen
Yeah.
keepers struggle where the ball's gone past the bat, and then it like dips or swings away, and it's difficult. So yeah, probably 5 for keeping, I guess, overall, if you look at it overall.
Yeah, let's say 5. 4 for his batting, 1 for his keeping, extra point.
Yeah.
Sorry, 5 is a good score. Yeah.
Jadeja, I think it's a solid 7 for me.
Yeah,
he did.
His stats don't show the impact that he had on the game.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I agree. I think he got a 50 in one game, no?
Yeah, he got a 50, yes, in one game. Yeah.
And then he got, the last day he got a couple of key wickets in the last test. So yeah, and you can't really blame him because his role was the lone spinner to hold up an end, and so. I think he did his job, so I think I give him a 7.
If you think about it, right? I mean, he had a role completely opposite to that of Moeen Ali. Moeen Ali was more of an attacking spinner. He went at much higher economy, whereas Jadeja, I'm just looking through the stats. He had the lowest economy out of all the Indian bowlers, 2.21. So absolutely done his job to perfection. And when there was rough outside. Right-hander's leg stump in at the Oval, he was able to exploit it pretty well. So 7 is a fair score for him.
And then,
are we missing a player?
No, 7 Jadeja, and then you have the bowlers, right?
Yeah, 7 Jadeja, and then we have the bowlers. Yeah, should we talk about the biggest surprise package for India first?
Thakur.
Shardul Thakur. I think he has now come into the conversation big time. Everyone's talking about him as a good replacement for the likes of Hardik Pandya, and potentially Jadeja, Ashwin when conditions suit. So massive reputation improvement for him. I mean, the one thing I'd say is, he wasn't, when he scored the twin 50s at the Oval, he wasn't slogging. He was hitting the ball hard, but it wasn't, across the line stuff. A lot of his shots that went for boundaries were straight down the ground. So it seems like he's got a decent technique. So I really enjoyed watching him bat, bowl, everything. You could say that Shardul Thakur had the kind of impact Sam Curran had in the 2018 series against India.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. Actually, he did agree. I think for overall impact, he didn't play all the games, but
yes, he only played 2.
Yeah, I'd give him an 8.
But I mean, look at his stats. He averaged 39 with the bat, and with the ball he averaged 22. I mean, that's phenomenal, right?
Yeah, 8, 9.
So 8. Yeah, 8. Yeah. I think 8 is given that he played 2 test matches, but I'd say 8 is good.
Yeah. And then you have, so the bowling has quite a few bowlers played, right? So let's go with Bumrah because he played all the games.
Let's talk about Bumrah, and let's just say that he's probably a 10er for me.
A 10? Wow.
I think he was the highest wicket taker in the series. Yeah, he was the highest wicket taker in the series, and by far he looked the most complete bowler on both sides, whether it was reverse swing, conventional swing, bowling bouncers, bowling at pace, bowling yorkers, slower balls. The wicket the ball that he bowled to get Ollie Robinson out at the Oval, coming round the wicket and bowling an off spinner, an off cutter, and getting the ball to pitch in line and then not turn too much to miss the stumps. I mean, just phenomenal in my opinion.
Yeah, and then that ball to Johnny Bairstow. The reverse swing.
That reverse swinging Yorker. I mean, that that reminds you of the greats of the past, guys like Bakar and Wasim, who could bowl those kind of balls on order. And Jasprit Bumrah's in the same boat, and he can swing the ball, he can seam the ball, he can do everything, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that this has cemented his position as probably one of the best fast bowlers going around.
I agree. Full marks to him. So 10 is fine for him.
Yeah.
And then the rest I'd put in a similar bucket, right? Siraj, Ishant, Shami. Who else?
And
Umesh. Yeah. Umesh did actually well.
I was going to split it into 2 categories. Umesh and Shami were really good.
Yeah.
And then Siraj and Sharma left a lot to be wanting personally from my
Yeah.
perspective. So I'd probably say Umesh and Shami, we can go with a 6 or a 7.
Yeah.
And
Seventh probably.
Ishant and Siraj are probably yeah, 7 for both. Umesh did
Yeah.
brilliantly just to come in and get Root out and
Exactly.
scores just for that. He got Root
Yeah.
out in that
Yeah.
first innings at the Oval. So
Yeah.
that was good. And then Shami, we know what he did with the bat at Lords and
Yeah.
with the ball as well.
Yeah.
Whenever Shami played, you know, Bumrah and Shami just looked, a cut above everyone else.
Yeah.
Shami didn't get too many wickets, which is a bit
Yeah.
of an issue. He just bowled good balls and didn't get wickets, which can happen with bowlers. So I'd probably give a 7 to both of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then
fives for Sharma and
4.
four for Sharma and Siraj.
Siraj, yes, his attitude is brilliant. He's always at the batsman. He's always bowling the hard lengths. He's bowling decently, decent pace. But yeah, he just didn't have as much of an impact as I would have hoped that he would. He was
Yeah.
probably that one link where I thought he could have easily been replaced with Ashwin
Yeah.
going into the Oval Test match.
True. True.
Yeah, and yeah, probably 10 on 10 for poor Ashwin, who imagine you're the best spinner in the world,
Yeah.
and you would get into any side in world cricket in Test matches, but just it is where we are with India that he's sat out 4 Test matches in a row after
For his
getting
batting, not for his bowling, huh?
yeah, for his batting, not for his bowling. It's
And
it's
although he
it's
has
just
five test hundreds, but still.
yeah, he's got 5 Test hundreds. I can see the logic.
Yeah.
I can see the logic. Jadeja is a better fielder and batsman than Ashwin. Period.
Yeah.
We can end that there. But yeah, I think maybe at the Oval, just imagine, right? Whenever Jadeja took a wicket
Yeah.
at the Oval, all I could think of was, oh, how well could Ashwin have done on this wicket, right?
True.
So,
But it paid off, right? So at the end of the day, you can't blame him. Yeah.
I know. I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, I would say that yes, India just need to improve a little bit on their selections. I think sometimes they're too, they become too rigid. For example, they were rigid in the World Test Championship final, where they said, no matter what happens, we'll just go in with Ashwin and Jadeja. And then we come to the 4 Test match series against England. No, we're not going to pick Ashwin. No
True.
matter what, we won't pick Ashwin. So
Yeah.
a little flexibility there from India, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of flexibility in selections, should we move on to England? Who showed a bit too much flexibility.
England were too flexible. England was so flexible that they were like, we'll pick Jack Leach, as our first spinner in the first test, in the
Yeah.
squad, sorry. We won't pick him to
Yeah.
play the first test. And
Yeah.
then we drafted Moeen Ali, who's been playing in the 100, and make him our first spinner.
Yeah. It was,
England are a joke sometimes, seriously.
so, I mean, out of the 3 openers that played, Sibley, Burns, Hamid,
Yeah.
Sibley obviously got dropped after a couple of
Yeah.
games.
Sibley for me is he just really needs to improve on on scoring runs.
Yeah. We give him a 2.
2 or 3, yeah, 2 or 3. And again, some
Burns.
of his, didn't he get out, strangled down the leg side
Yeah.
as well? So
Yeah.
that element, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I think it was in the previous summer as well against Pakistan.
Yeah.
That he needs to work on that element. Yeah. Burns and Hasib.
Burns, I give 4 because he got 150 in the whole series,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In that one game. And Hasib, I gotta give him a 6 because he had 2 50s, but then 2 nothings as well. So
Yeah, nothing. The one thing I'd say about Hasib is 6 seems reasonable for him only because he's clearly shown a big improvement since he last
Yeah.
played for England. Against, when he last played, it was all block, and not so much focus on scoring runs. Whereas this time, I can see that he's expanded his game. He's
Yeah.
focused on, keeping the good balls out and scoring runs off the back ball. So
Yeah.
big improvement there. So
yeah, so that's
Hasib is one to watch out for. I think he should play in this England team for the next 10 years.
2-4-6 for the 3 openers.
2-4-6. Nice. And then we come to Joe Root. I'd just could have given him a
Yeah.
10, really.
Yeah,
He was England's best player. His runs this year in Test matches, phenomenal. He scored all over. He scored in India, in Sri Lanka, in England. Hopefully he'll carry on that form against Australia as well, score some runs in the Ashes. Not much else to say. He's been the best batsman this year, best Test batsman this year.
Agreed. David Malan played a couple of games, got
Yeah,
50 in the first game. Well, the second,
yeah, I
the
think,
first game he
I
played.
think, yeah.
Not under a lot of pressure when India was
Yeah,
17
not,
all out.
yeah, yeah, I
So,
agree. I mean, he looked good, is all I
yeah,
can say. He looked good.
yeah,
And probably a good choice, especially in a country like Australia, where,
yeah,
the ball bounces and Malan is a good player off the back foot. So I, he should be a good shout for
yeah,
Australia at number three. I'd probably give him a 5 or a 6.
yeah. I think yeah, five probably. Zach Rowley played one game.
I sorry.
Zach Rowley played one game, right, or two games?
Zach Rowley played, yes, one game, and we've talked again about how poor Zach Rowley has been. So probably give him a 1 or 2.
Two. Yeah, two for him.
Yeah.
Then who else was there? Johnny Bairstow.
Johnny Bairstow, again, kind of middling, so I'd go with a 5. He could have
Yeah.
had more of an impact.
Good starts. He had a
He
couple of starts, just didn't
Yeah,
carry on.
just didn't carry on. His keeping was good, but again, I think it's high time we expect more of Johnny Bairstow, especially in
Yeah.
Test matches. You know,
5. Yeah.
um, Ollie Pope.
Well, he only played one game as well, right? Or did he play two?
Yeah, he played
Yeah, he
only one
played
game and got
one.
that fantastic 80 in the first
Yeah,
innings of the Oval.
7 for that, but obviously he didn't do. We got out early in the last innings, but yeah, he scored an
Yeah.
80, so give him a 7. Joss Butler played a few games. Didn't again. His batting is
Joss
not.
Butler played
Yeah,
no.
5.
But again, he's playing in England. He might be a different beast in Australia. So
Yeah,
it's worth sticking with
5.
someone like Joss Butler.
Yeah.
But
By the way, going back to the
probably,
point around the openers,
yeah,
they dropped a lot of catches in the slips as well. Burns, Sibley,
that's a fair point.
they kept
Rory
chopping and
Burns,
changing.
especially.
They kept chopping and changing in
Yeah,
the
Rory
slips.
Burns, especially. Yeah, that's true. Rory Burns dropped a lot of catches in the
Yeah.
slips. So we gave him a 4. We're going to
Yeah.
downgrade him to a 2.
2 or 2, fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So we go Sibley 2, Crawley 2, Sibley 2, Burns 2,
Burns
and Hamid 6.
6. Yeah. I mean, Crawley also got a 2 or a 1, whatever.
Yeah, Crawley also. Yeah.
Yeah. Then
We've
Butler,
set the floor.
Butler
I
5.
he did decently
Yeah.
again with the keeping.
Yeah.
Same issue as Pant, right? Really,
Yeah.
he's not renowned as a good test keeper, but he did well. So yeah, 5.
Moeen Ali. Yeah.
Look,
Bad shots.
everyone knows what my opinion on Moeen Ali is. I think he's England's best spinner.
Yeah.
He's better than Jack Leach. He gives you a more all-round option. Yes, he can be expensive, but he is a wicket taker. So, and again, just the fact that he was able to, he came away from the 100. So did David Malan. They got picked off the 100, and then to come and perform in Test matches is tough. But I'd probably go with a 6
Yeah.
for Moeen Ali.
Agreed.
Maybe I would have gone with a 7, but one less point for the shot he played at the Oval against Jadeja in the first innings.
True.
Very poor shot. So 6.
Yeah.
Vokes.
Sam Curran played a couple of games well. Didn't do.
Sam Curran 2.
Yeah.
We know what the ceiling is. We know what the floor is. Sorry, in this
Yeah.
rating game. So he's a 2.
Yeah.
Just
3. He got
finished
Kohli out in one of the games. I'll give him a 3.
2. No, I'm going to give him. I'm going to stick with
Fine.
the 2.
Fine.
And then we come on to Chris Vokes.
I mean, when he played England's best, I think very underrated as an all-rounder.
Yeah.
People know about his bowling, but his batting is pretty decent as
Yeah.
well. So I give him an 8, I think.
Yeah. I was going to give him an 8. Yeah, I agree. Just absolutely fantastic. Again, Vokes is one of those guys that I'm surprised. He would have walked into any test team. Any test team, ODI T20 team in the world, it's only because England have got such depth that they're able to keep someone like him out. So 8 is a fair reflection.
Ollie Robinson.
Ollie Robinson was amazing. Was really, really good. On the money all the time. I'd probably go with a 7.
Yeah. 7 for Robinson.
Yeah.
Anderson.
He got 21 wickets. Oh, I actually didn't realize he was the highest wicket taker. He
the whole series.
Wickets then. Yeah, the whole series, because Bumrah got 18 and Ollie Robinson got 21. Wow.
If you give Bumrah a 10, would you give Robinson a 10? I don't know. The impact wasn't the same, was it?
Yeah, we gave Bumrah 10 based on the impact that he had.
Yeah.
But I don't mind giving Ollie Robinson a 9.
Yeah. 9 is fine.
9 is fair.
Yeah.
And similarly to James Anderson as well. I'm probably going to James Anderson, I'll give him an 8.
Yeah.
because his first innings bowling has been fantastic, but his second innings bowling has been pathetic, and that adds so much pressure onto the
True.
other bowlers. So yeah,
Yeah.
so 8 for James Anderson.
Yeah, that's it. And then
Yeah.
Broad and Wood played a game each, right?
Yeah, Wood played one, Broad played one. They were
Then
both okay. It's difficult
yeah,
to judge, so give them a 5.
yeah, fair.
You know, I think,
Yeah.
and we're missing out on Craig Overton.
Oh yeah, he
Um,
played one. He played a game as well.
he played 2 games actually. Managed to get 8 wickets with an average of 21. Not bad
Not
actually.
bad. Yeah.
He looks a decent replacement for someone like Sam Curran, for example.
Yeah.
So I'd probably give him a 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Decent job.
yeah, fair enough. So those are our ratings. We all know what happened. Currently, as things stand, India have won this series. They've kind of gone on to prove that they're they are the test team to beat. They are the best test team in the world at the moment, with their wins in Australia and England. Pending any further decisions on the result, and then they will be going to South Africa at the end of this year. So if they end up winning in South Africa as well, I think that just
Yeah.
seals it to say that India would be the best test team. They missed out on an opportunity to beat New Zealand at home, in the previous World Test Championship cycle. So that was a bit of a downer, but yeah. And England,
Yeah.
a long way to go. Again, their selections just make me, just blow my mind. If Moeen Ali is a best spinner, then he should be in the squad from day one.
Yeah. True.
So yeah,
The
long way
openers.
to go for the Ashes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Their openers still need
Okay,
fixing.
so
Cool.
yeah, a lot of questions for England to answer, unfortunately. But let's see how things progress. So there you have it. Though that is our player ratings for the India-England series. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. It's only your likes and your love that is actually driving us forward. So please keep them coming, and please keep your comments coming. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Thank you.